Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. It's been a little while since I recorded something last, but it's a few days before Tisha B'Av. I decided not to record lately, just focusing more on just spending time on learning more, But there's a story that most of us know the story to some degree. We've heard it in our childhood, most likely, in cheder, whether you're a boy or a girl, growing up. But I would think that most of us never actually saw the story inside, in the Sefer. It's something that we say it every single day by Shemoneh Esrei, right away we say, which is Elokai Avraham, which means the God of Avraham, the God from Avraham. What does that all mean? So it's in the cipher from Shevet Misr. It's a well-known cipher, old cipher, and it records. This is called the Masa Avraham. What was the story of Avram? What was the story? How did it all begin? So I want to share it over here. I'm going to record it in Lushan Kodesh. Obviously, I'm going to translate it. And I believe that we're living through, right now, Mas Avraham, and it's playing out in front of our eyes. Let's hear the story, and let's, ourselves, let's be the judge, and let's take a look at what we can do about it. Let's start. This is, the first test that Avraham Avinu had. We know Avraham went through 10 Nisyonis. 10. This is the first one. Let's jump in Lushan Kodesh. Yeah? This is from Shevet Misr, Perek Nun Beis. Okay? Starts off the following. Kodim Shnolad Avraham, before Avraham was born. Before Avraham was born, we're going back to the year 1948 from creation. This is after a Mabul, but that's where we are. 1948 from creation. Hay Nimrod Koifer ben Emunah Hashem Yitbarach. Nimrod was a Nimrod ben Canaan ben Cham. Cham is ben Noach. So Nimrod is a great grandson of Noach. Noach is the Ish Tzaddik. Noach, the whole world gets saved for Noach. Nimrod knows the emes, but he is Koifer ben Emunah Hashem. He denies it. And he, turned himself into and he said, Shehi Elaka. He said, he's God. He's a God. That's what he said. And the people of his times, they would bow to him. Let's realize, he's a great grandson of Noach. So obviously, a third of the world is his, or him and his brothers, because this is all the beginning. The world gets wiped out. It's Parshas Noach. There's a Mabul. The only survivors are Noach, his wife, Shem, Cham, and Yafes, right, and their wives. Now Nimrod is a son of Canaan, which is a son of Cham. So he does have, large portions of the world that's actually rightfully his, because he inherited it as an inheritance, and he, was koifer in Emunah Elaka. He says Emunah Hashem. And he says not, he says there's no, he was koifer, and the people of his times, they bowed to him. Vehechel Malchisa Hoye b'Medinas Kusa, and he built his first kingdom in a country called Kusa. Okay. Continuing, he would make, idols, images that look like him, his picture. And everybody would bow to this image of Nimrod. Okay? Because this is what happened. Continuing. And he was a very, very smart person. He understood astrology very well. Continuing. And he saw in the Chochmas HaKachovim, in the astrology, in the stars, that there's going to be born in his time a person, and this person is going to get up against him, to basically disprove this Emunah that he's a god, and this person is going to actually win over him. Continuing. And he became very, very afraid because he saw this in the astrology, in the stars. And he sent after his advisors, his ministers, and he told them over, this is what he sees in the stars. And he asked them, according to the das, which is the rules of how things work. What do we do about this child that's going to be born? He has information from the stars that he knows very well of what's going to happen. He says, what do we do with this child that's going to be born? Continuing, his advisors tell him, this is what we advise you. Listen, every woman that gives birth to a boy, okay, then you kill the boy. Continuing, and if she gives birth to a daughter, then the daughter should live. Continuing, give gifts to this, to this woman, to this mother. Big day malchus, and dress her in royal garments, royal clothing. And you should proclaim before this woman, this mother that gives birth to a daughter. This is what gets done to a woman that gives birth to a daughter. So he was saying, make it that the desire should be amongst the women that they should not have boy children, they should have girl children. Okay? Make it desirable, make it that that's what they should want. Continuing. And when Nimrod heard their advice, Samach Simcha Gedoyla, he rejoiced very much. And he did accordingly to the advice that he was given. And he ordered that they should be killed based on this advice. More than 70,000 baby boys. Because people did give birth to boys, and he had them killed. 70,000 boys were killed. Anyway. When the Malachei Hamarim, the Malachim in Shemayim, when they saw all this, killing of little, baby boys that were taking place, they said to Hashem, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they said, don't you see, Hashem, what this Russia, this Koifer, Nimrod and Canaan, Nimrod, son of Canaan, look what he's doing, Ashahar, and he's killing, so many little boys. He's spilling their blood. Arza, he has no mercy on them. Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says back to the Malachim, listen, Malachim Kedoshim, he says, my Malachim Kedoshim, Yedati, I know very easy, and I see as well. I don't sleep, I don't slumber. Hashem says, I see it all. And I see, and I know all that's hidden and all that's revealed. I know it all. He's calming down the Malachim. But you're going to soon see, Malachim, what I'm going to do to this Russia that's Koifer. You just watch. Because I'm going to put him in this place very soon. Just watch. Continuing. In those times, Nosa Terach, Terach, he marries as Amslai Bas Karnavoy. He marries a woman. The name is Amaslai Bas Karnavoy. He marries her. But Tahar, she becomes pregnant. Vatelet Bain, and she gives birth to a boy during this time. In Marov Pachta, because of her, she was so afraid. Yatsam in a year, she ran away from the city. She was so afraid that she gave birth to a boy, and she knew what happens to a baby boy that gets born. she runs away from the city. She runs, towards, the midbar. Karav l'nar echad, next to a certain river. Continuing, sham, and she finds over there ma'ora gedola, a big cave. When she enters this cave, ha'ira kala ma'ora kashemesh meir pnei yeled. This whole cave lights up like the sun from the face of this baby boy. Okay? If fascha piyah va'amra, she opens her mouth and she says the following: Oy sheyiladeticha bazman hazeh, woe to you, this baby that you were born in such a time. She'amelech Nimrod, that this Melech Nimrod, harag ba'vircha shivim elef zacharim, that he killed because of you 70,000 boys. It was so clear to her that her son, this baby, his face lit up this whole cave. She knew without a doubt that this is the child, that because of this child, 70,000 little baby boys were killed. Continuing. And she said, and I'm so afraid for you because of you. Continuing. Because if they find out about you, they're going to kill you. And she says, and because that's the case, it's better that you should die in this cave, and Nimrod should not, get to you. Continuing, she leaves him in this cave alone. She leaves him there. And she says, let your God be with you. He should not leave you. He shouldn't forsake you. He should hold on to you. She goes home. Okay, this is the story what takes place with Avraham Avinu's mother when he was born. Continuing, this little boy, Avraham Avinu, olav shalom. He was Avram, our father, olav shalom. Continuing, there was nobody there to give him food. It was a baby that his mother abandoned him in a cave. Continuing, he started to cry. Now a baby starts to cry, he's hungry. V'sholach HaKadosh Baruch Hu es HaMalach Gavriel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends Malach Gavriel, v'yemachiloi imashkehu, and Malach Gavriel feeds him and gives him what to drink. Continuing, Ad shehoya Avram Yeled ben Asara Yomim, until Avram he grows to be 10 days old. 10 days old. V'eschil kvar laleches ba'aretz, and a 10-day-old child, he starts walking on the land. He starts to walk. He's 10 days old, but a miracle, he's walking. He leaves the cave, and he goes to the end of this river, and to the river bank. And he already had in him this chachma and bina as a adam gadol, like an adult. He's 10 days old. He starts thinking. He starts to think. He says, "Hine ani roya beria koi yafa." He says, "I see before me a beautiful creation. I see a world. Harim, egvoes, naharet v'yam. I see mountains, valleys, rivers, and oceans." He sees this with his eyes. He's 10 days old, but he has the chachma bina of an adult. He says, "Mi asa ivara ela." Who made and who created all this? Emi ha'el, who's the God? Who's the power behind all this? Choshav, and he starts thinking. He says, Ilai Hashemesh hazarachas hi olaka. Maybe it's the sun that's shining, giving light to the whole world. Maybe that's the God. Yeah. B'hem Kain, he says, if that's the case, Evdeni, I'm going to serve it. I'm going to be oivid. I'm going to worship this, God. The sun, because it appears to me that that's the God. Yeah. But Laila, what happened was, nighttime came, now the sun went down and it became dark. Omar, Avram says, Kanira, it appears, that, the sun is not the God because it went down. Then he sees, he sees the moon and all the stars around the moon. And it appeared, and it appeared that these stars are like, avodim, they're serving the moon. Continuing, Omar, and he says, Kanir shazeh lakah. He said, oh, it appears that's the God, the moon and the stars. And he says, V'chayav ani la'avdai. So that means, if the moon is the God, then I have to serve the moon. Okay? Ba'boiker, in the morning, when the Lavona gets covered over in the morning time, Omar, and he says, it certainly can't be that the moon is the God. Why? Because it got covered over. So he says, Im Kain, Mi'o'el. He says, who's the God? He knows it's not the sun. The sun goes down. He sees it's not the moon because the moon gets covered over. Who's the God? And it pained him very much. He didn't know who's the God. Who's the God? And who to serve, who to work for, who to worship, right? He didn't know. And he was pained. Continuing. And he was still contemplating, he was still thinking about it. Malach Gavril comes and comes to him. And he says to him, the Malach Gavril says, Shalom Alecha Avraham. Shalom to you, Avraham. Anohi Alecha Shalom. So Avraham replies to Malach Gavril, he says, peace to you, Shalom to you, Mi'ata, who are you? Omer Loi, Malach Gavril says to Avraham, Ani Malach Gavril, Shaliach min HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I am Malach Gavril. I'm a Shaliach, a messenger from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehi Yoel, and he's the God. He bara Hashemesh, he created the sun, V'hayereach, and the moon. B'chol ma she'ata ro'eh ba'olam, and everything you see in the world, I'm a messenger of the God that created it all. Continuing, V'sho'ahi halach l'mayan. During that time, Avram, right away, he went to the Mayan, to the water, and he washes his face, his hands, and his feet. And he starts davening to Hashem. He bows down, and he prostrates himself. Finally, he knows who to daven to. Continuing, many days go by. Listen to this. Ve'ima shel Avram, and Avram's mother, Amasloi bas Karnavai, his mother, Niskara bivna sheshirosei bamar. She remembers her baby that she left in the cave. Ivachsa bechia gedola, and she's crying greatly over this child. V'yatzim in a year, she leaves the city. Lavakesh es bana bamar she'azavati, to go to this cave to go see what happened to this child that she left over in the cave. She gets to the cave, she's searching, she doesn't find this baby. And she continues to cry more over this child. And she says, Oy li, woe to me, she says, woe to me, because certainly if I don't see my child over here, certainly he became the prey, the food for the chayas hasada, for the bears or the lions. That must have been what happened. Continuing, she leaves the cave, and she goes to the river, to the river bank, and she sees her son. She didn't recognize him because he was a full adult. Okay, so she left him as a baby. She sees her son Avram, but she doesn't recognize him. Continuing, she says to him, Shalom Alecha, peace to you. Avram responds to her, Alecha l'shalom, Aleich l'shalom, peace to you. He asks his mother, this woman, what are you doing in a desolate midbar, in a desert? You're a woman, what are you doing here? She says back to Avram, she says, I left the city, Lavakesh es beni, to find my son that I left over here, but I can't find him. Continuing, so Avram says to his mother, he says, Kama yom yesh mizman she'sharta es b'neich pai. How many days has it been since you left your baby here? How many days has it gone by? She says, about 3 weeks. Okay, continuing. Avram says, Is it even possible for a woman, in the world to believe that she'll leave her baby, to leave a baby for 20 days alone in a desert, without any food, and she should still come to try to find him? 20 days go by, you leave a baby without food, and does it make sense that any woman should expect to find a baby? Certainly, certainly either the baby died or a animal ate it up, right? Continuing. She says back to Avraham, she says, I was hoping that maybe God would have mercy. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to continue in another video. We're going to continue very shortly.